The outcast Eli Morrison couldn't remember a day at the Intergalactic Defense Academy when he didn't feel out of place. The galaxy's most prestigious military institution sprawled across 3 continents of the training planet Maris Prime. Its towers glittering silver under a sun far harsher than Earth's. Every year, only the most promising cadets from every major species were chosen to compete for a future as planetary governors, or for the best, legends in their homeworld's histories. Eli, short for Elijah, was the only human in his intake this cycle, and the only one in living memory not backed by a famous family or government deal. He'd grown up on the battered mining stations orbiting Saturn, a colony kid who had to claw for everything. No money, no connections, just the stubbornness that his late mother used to call the Morrison curse. But in the academy, stubbornness was worth nothing. On Maris Prime, their gravity was 1.2 times Earth normal, a fact that made every step harder, every muscle burn faster. He always finished last on the runs, last on the obstacle course, last in nearly every simulation. When you have Korothy lizards with 4 arms, Zar twins who could read your thoughts, and Malin Psi warriors who trained from birth, just keeping up was a fight Eli lost every morning. He heard the whispers in the mess hall. Why's the human? Even here? Must be charity points. Some, like Sarek the massive Glazerin with arms like steel girders, were open about their contempt. Hey, Morrison, careful not to trip on your own shoelaces. That's an Earth custom, right? Eli ignored them. He always did. He had learned a long time ago that the best way to silence mockery was to outlast it. So every time he finished last, he made a point of finishing, even if it meant crawling. But even his instructors, supposed to be neutral, treated him as an afterthought. Persistence is admirable, Commander Thoros, the Noric veteran, told him after yet another failed tactics drill. But persistence alone won't save your squad. You need to adapt, Morrison, or you'll be sent home. Eli nodded, jaw clenched. He had no clever retort, no legendary ancestors. He just wanted to make it through one day without being reminded that he didn't belong. Everything changed the day the Academy announced the expedition to Alaros 9, a jungle moon lost to legend, and forbidden for centuries. In the ancient vaults beneath its surface, the last remnant of a civilization that had wiped itself out in war was said to slumber. A parasite so dangerous, so unpredictable, that only the most elite cadets were even considered for the contact. Team. The instructors gathered the squad in the main hall, holographic maps flickering above their heads. We believe the Karathos parasite is not only alive, Captain Vale said, her crystalline armor catching the light, but searching for a compatible host. This is not just a test of skill, but of will and intent. Only those ready to bear its burden will be allowed to attempt contact. Eli wasn't on the list. He didn't expect to be. As the briefing ended and the squad filed out, he overheard Sarek snicker. Let the human go last. If it eats him, at least it'll be an upgrade. Eli went to bed that night, staring at the stars outside his tiny window, wondering what it would feel like to be needed, not as a joke, not as a charity case, but as the answer to a question no one else could solve. He dreamt of a dark vault deep in the jungle, and a voice ancient, broken, lonely whispering his name. The vault of Karthos shuttle landed on Ilaros, 9 in a haze of green fog and electric storms. The planet seemed to breathe around them. The moss underfoot pulsed gently, and the air was thick with the scent of strange flowers and unseen danger. Every few meters, a vine would whip out of the brush, only to be scorched by a quick blast from the lead cadet's pulse rifle. Eli brought up the rear, ignored by everyone, as usual. He was focused on putting one foot in front of the other, his boots sinking into the living ground. The air prickled on his skin, and each step felt heavier than the last. After an hour, the squad reached the clearing, a deep crater ringed by petrified trees. The ground at its center marked by a black monolith covered in red glyphs. At its base was the vault, a hexagonal hatch humming with faint blue energy. Captain Vale called for silence. This is it. Karathos is said to choose its host. Step forward if you are ready to prove your worth. One by one, the top cadets approached. Sarek, brimming with confidence, slammed his hand against the activation panel. The vault flashed, then pulsed with energy that sent him flying backward, unconscious. The Tsar twins linked minds and tried to overwhelm the glyphs with psionic force, only to be repelled, gasping and bleeding from the nose. The Mallet warrior was next, then the Drexian with starship lifting arm each tried. Each failed, some violently. Finally, after half the squad had been rejected, Captain Vale turned to the rest. No one else? She said, not even looking at Eli. He stepped forward anyway. He didn't know what compelled him. Maybe it was the humiliation, maybe the desperate hope that something would finally make sense. The squad murmured. Even the captain's eyes widened. Eli pressed his palm to the glyphs. At first, nothing. Then the glyphs flickered ambersoft, almost gentle. The world spun, and suddenly Eli was nowhere and everywhere at once, floating through memory and pain, through voices not his own, through wars fought by ancient hosts and betrayals that left scars on the universe. A voice, low and thunderous, echoed through his mind. You are not what I expected. He couldn't speak, but he thought, why me? The answer came, not in words, but in feeling, because you are not trying to use me. You are not afraid to be weak. The connection broke. Eli gasped, stumbling to his knees. The hatch split open, cold mist rolling out. The squad stared in disbelief. Get up, Morrison, Captain Vale ordered, voice shaking. You're the first candidate. Step inside. Inside, the vault was lined with broken biotubes, and at its center floated a black, twisting shape. It hovered before Eli, watching him, if something without eyes could be said to watch. He did not raise his weapon. He did not run the symbiote. Reached out, coiling like smoke around his arm, then slid into his skin. Eli's body arched with pain, but he did not scream. Outside, the squad waited. Eli did not emerge for 10 minutes. When he did, his eyes were different. Not glowing, not alien, but steady, unafraid. The parasite had chosen him, and he had chosen it. Astra's transformation and Fury awoke in the field infirmary, lights blurring. Overhead, and tried to sit up. Anna, the medic, caught his shoulder, scanning him with a trembling hand. Captain Vale stood beside her, face unreadable beneath her crystalline visor. Vitals are stable, Anna said, almost surprised. Eli blinked. The world was sharper colors, more vivid, the thrum of power generators outside clear as thunder. He could feel the heartbeat of everyone in the tent, the shift of metal against moss. The pulse of his own blood, now doubled. Something else was inside him, resting and watching. Do you know where you are? Captain Vale asked. Alaros 9. Eli replied, voice steady. Mobile field infirmary? Anna nodded, but couldn't hide her curiosity. You're different. Do you feel yourself? He thought for a moment. I feel more myself than ever before. The squad gathered to watch him walk back to camp, a mixture of fear and wonder on every face. Sarah glared. The twins avoided his gaze, but no one called him weak. Not anymore. The academy was in uproar. Commanders argued whether Eli should be isolated or weaponized. Rumors flew through the cadet barracks. Was he dangerous? Was he in control? Was he even still human? Eli endured endless tests. Physical, mental, psychic, but the symbiote never tried to dominate him. It gave him perception, not strength. Understanding, not rage, during the next field exercise when a sandstorm cut off the squad from command. Eli sensed the coming danger. He led the squad through a maze of tunnels just before a rock slide would have killed half of them. How did you know? Captain Vale demanded. He shook his head. I just felt it. Like the ground was telling me? Word spread. The weakest human was now the one keeping everyone alive. But not everyone was grateful. Crisis and choice, it happened 2 weeks later. During a midnight shift in the Academy's biolab, a group of jealous cadets, led by Sarek, cornered Eli, demanding he give up the symbiote. We can't trust you, Sarah hissed. You're a freak. It should have been one of us. They tried to restrain him, but Karathos flared in Eli's mind, a wash of fear, of ancient anger, of centuries of being used and betrayed. Eli held it back, refusing to let the symbiote harm them, even as pain racked his body. The struggle triggered. Alarms. Instructors rushed in, breaking up the fight. Captain Bale stood over the chaos, her gaze sharp as a blade. You fools, she said. You think power makes you worthy. You think strength is just muscle and speed. She helped Eli to his feet. What makes you strong, she said, looking around at the entire unit, is knowing when not to use your power. Morrison could have hurt you. He didn't. That is why the Karathos chose him. That is why I trust him. The symbiote, through. Eli projected a single thought to everyone present. We do not want a master. We want a partner. Eli spoke aloud, voice echoing in the silent lab. I will not be your weapon. But I will be your ally if you let me. For the first time, the SQUAD listened. Asterisk. The hero and the legend news spread quickly across the academy, and then the galaxy. The weakest cadet, now bonded to the ancient Karathos, had become a living legend. Some were afraid. Some were jealous. But many, especially those from lesser worlds, those who had been overlooked and mocked, saw hope. Eli was called on for the most dangerous mission yet. A rescue operation in the aftermath of a planetary disaster. Alien and human survivors were trapped under tons of rubble, toxins seeping into the atmosphere, wild predators closing in. The elite squad had failed to find a safe route. Eli led the way, Karathos amplifying his senses. He found paths no scanner could detect detected gas leaks before they became deadly, and soothed wild predators into silence. For the first time, the squad worked together, trusting his guidance without question. They saved everyone. Afterwards, the Academy's commandant stood before the cadets, looking at Eli. You have shown us that strength is not always what we expect, she said. That understanding is as vital as firepower. And that sometimes the weakest among us carries the future. Eli was offered a commission, not as a weapon, but as an ambassador. He and Karathos would travel the galaxy, helping to broker peace between species, showing that real power was found in connection, not conquest. In the months that followed, Eli's legend grew. He taught others what he'd learned, that listening, empathy, and courage to stand apart could change the world. He was never the strongest, but in the end he was the one chosen not because he sought power, but because he offered partnership. And on nights when the stars glittered above and the old doubts crept in, Eli would feel the gentle presence of Karathos within. A reminder that the galaxy was vast, but true strength came from standing together. He was no longer the joke of the Academy. He was the story everyone told when they needed hope. Asterisk.